Okay, same day for me, different day for you. It feels like my heater is blowing cold air, and that sucks because it's really cold. And the trees are still treeing, and we are going to be moving on to the September bar, which is really beautiful. And I did weird stuff with maple leaves, like the leaf. Yeah, it's a thing. You're going to want to stick around for it. I will tell you more about it in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for day 6 of 10 Days of Thanks and day 9 in the 12 Months of Soap series, and so we are making the September bar, and it is gorgeous. Just spoiler alert, it is beautiful. I'm actually working really well on getting all the layers nice and concise with everything, so we have a big, layer that you get it, the thing that I've been working on for this whole series. And yeah, did some weird stuff with maples. Now, what does that mean, weird stuff with maples? Well, for me, I live on a street that has maple in its name. Yeah, I do that. And I thought it was really cute, like how idyllic, that's so adorable. I have to live here. And the property itself has like 17, 18, 25, 9,000 maples. There's 9,000 maples on my property. Yeah. And so in September, what happens is that all of these leaves from the maples that are wildly tall, taller than any other anything around, huge. Like it's trees growing out of trees, right? They're huge. They support whole ecosystems up there. Giant trees. They drop all their leaves in September. And so what that means is I have about 4 inches of maple leaf across the entirety of my property. And then this isn't me just not cleaning it up. You clean it up, and then the next weekend it's another 4 inches. It's wild. And so I thought it would be fun for the September bar to play with maple leaves in our lye solutions and whatnot, because we've had great success doing like dandelion fluff or just straight dandelions minus the fluff, fresh ones, and doing banana peels and just weird stuff that we put in lye solutions. And so that's what I wanted to play with for September. But again, it became another issue of, oh, there's not a lot you can do with this. So yeah, there's not a lot you can do with maples. You can put maple leaves into your lye solution, I'm going to tell you about it, what the benefits are and everything of doing so, if there are any and all the jazz, while I pour. So let's get to the pouring and we can do all of that. Okay, so here we are. We are doing the September bar and, business as usual as far as the design goes. It's going to be white on the top. It's going to be a different color on the bottom. And it's going to be white and the different color plus another different color in the middle with a swirl. And for this particular one, we're doing like a yellow and a goldy orange color because I want to be able to transition from this bar into the October bar. And the October bar will have some orange in it. So for the September bar, a lot of the stuff that I played with within the maple stuff, I didn't do much of anything with maple syrup because I sort of thought that it was going to be basically the same thing as the honey, incorporating honey. And it is similar in that it's sugar and it's, all the jazz. So, and we're using Autumn Lodge with the vanillin content at 1.2. So we're going to lean into the discoloration that this could potentially give. And it does say on Sierra Candle's website that it could discolor. So it says light brown. It will discolor to light brown per the soaping notes. And so we're going to lean into that and assume that with all of the kaolin clay I'm putting into this, I'm going to end up being able to get at least a beigeish color for the top portion of this. If not, just proper white. Anyway, so With the maple syrup, I did sort of figure that it was going to be very similar to honey in that it is, a sugary sweetener. And it's mostly true. There are some differences between honey and maple syrup. The first is going to be honey actually has more sugar and the maple syrup has more water. And so if you ever wondered why some people can sell maple syrup for super cheap and other people cannot, like why is this one so much cheaper? It's because they put more water in it. That's the answer. But anyway, so as a result, maple syrup is going to be more fluid. It's going to be less likely to discolor and scorch your lye solution or, the Maillard reaction. Go back to yesterday's video if you want, some information on that one. I put the link for that in the description. Go check it out. But also maple syrup, because it has less sugar, for our purposes, it's not going to be as big of a bubble enhancer as what you would expect within, honey. But honestly, also actually, sugar is kind of just sugar. So it's mostly going to be the same. One thing that I did find when I was playing with maple syrup was when I did an unscented bar just to test overall discoloration and whatnot, it did not discolor as much as honey, putting it in either in the lye solution or in the traced batter, but it also left like a scent. I swear to God, I don't know, maybe my brain was just because I knew there was maple syrup in it or whatever, but I smelled like, I don't know, like sugar, but kind of like burnt sugar. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're making fudge or something, that smell when you're cooking, your candies and stuff on the stove. It's kind of like that. It was very slight and it doesn't exist anymore. So, I don't know. I might have just, might not be a thing. It's probably not a thing, but I did not notice that with the honey at all. It did not smell like honey or at all sweet doing the unscented version. And also maple syrup, as I said, did not discolor as much as honey did in just doing a plain bar, both within the lye solution or within the oils. Now, the maple syrup is in the oils for this soap because I wanted to do a maple bar, but I didn't have any more leaves when it was time to remake this. You know what I mean? Because I've done a really good job keeping track and putting away all of the leaves, getting rid of them all over my property. And so when it came time to actually make all these soaps for the 12 months of soap and the 10 days of thanks and all this for you guys, I didn't have any more maple leaves. So I incorporated maple syrup into the actual oils. And so I just mixed them into the total oils. Now the oils, same thing that we've been using, so it's my big bubble blend, 30% coconut, 30% palm, 30% olive oil, 5% castor, 5% shea. This is being super fatted at 5%. And the amount of maple syrup that I put into this was 1% of the total oil weight. Just keeping it really simple. Now, I guess I could have put in... No, you know what? I wasn't going to be able to do that with the lye solution. I was going to say I could have just taken any random, because I have like... It's a Japanese maple that's also, and it keeps its leaves. Anyway, I didn't want to do that. So maple leaves within a lye solution. Here are the things that I've learned. First up, what are the benefits? Well, maple leaves contain flavonoids and phenolic compounds. Now, the phenolic compounds can be, we've seen both of these things in work with a lot of the different botanical stuff that we've just sort of added to our lye solutions, right? So we're familiar with all of that. But I have since learned that maybe in certain circumstances, the phenolic compounds can produce a skin irritant. So you definitely want to be careful for that within like a sensitive soap recipe. Now, aside from the phenolic compounds, we obviously had the flavonoids that I talked about. So we're going to have some antioxidant effects. And so that's a good thing. We like antioxidants and free radicals are bad. And also cool though, I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. Maple leaves actually have a fair amount of saponins in them. So they have their own natural bubble independent of like a maple syrup in the sugar, And so that's really dope. And so I like that. I did run tests without, obviously I did different types. And so putting maple leaves within the lye solution, both green and dead, and also doing the the sugar, the maple syrup, into the oils plus the lye solution with the maple leaves, and then also without. And so as far as the bubble goes, yeah, totally. It actually had a pretty good bubble just using the maple leaves within the lye solution, and so without incorporating any of the maple syrup in. So that's cool. I'm not showing you any of that. I'm just going over the stuff that I didn't get to show you last year because a huge maple tree in our front yard got struck by lightning. That happened, and Mr. Soap and Clay was on the roof, just right underneath when that happened, and so that was a wild time. I'm so triggered by all these maples. And also, I figured that that's kind of cool that this is something that well exists as far as my life in 2024, because that happened. Tree got struck by lightning and right next to Mr. Soap and Clay, and he lived. That's crazy. you know you, how many people are ever like struck by lightning adjacent? Probably a lot. Never mind, it's probably a dumb question. But anyway, yeah, so the maple leaves in all of this, there is differences, right, between the green and the dried, and I do recommend, I think with any sort of leaf like this, to go ahead and use the dried version. Here's why. We've seen with the chlorophyll, more like borophyll, that it can give a green tone to the lye solution, which is then transferred to the soap. We saw that, I think, with the spinach. We talked about why one would be more likely than the other because there's chlorophyll A and there's chlorophyll B. You can go watch that. But anyway, so if you don't want your soap to be green, and I did not want my soap to be green in, September, because that's a fall bar, so I did not like the green. And so I did not want to be playing with chlorophyll. But also, if you use the dried version of this, because it's dried out and it's lost the majority of its water, the maple leaves, right? They are dry, and so all of their beneficial compounds are more, well, they're increased, and so they're going to be more compressed within the things, bigger likelihood of it actually being transferred into the lye solution and thus surviving saponification, all the jazz. And so that's what I would recommend with all of that. And as far as what actually survives, I don't know. I mean, with this, we've seen that it changes anything that has like the flavonoids and your tannins, your phenolic compounds. We have seen that it changes the functionality of the bar, right? The bar looks smoother and shinier. The lather is gorgeous, has a beautiful slip to it. And so for that, I'm going, well, yeah, see, because we can look at it. We have a visual, show that this recipe, when you put, something that has a flavonoid or a tannin in it, it produces a different bar than if you use the same recipe without doing so. And so it does survive to a point, but when you are dealing with obviously any sort of alkaline solution, some of these things can break down, except for the ones that are more soluble, which is going to be, well, your tannins and your flavonoids. So anything else that exists within it, well, and the saponins, they would actually survive too. So anything else that would exist within the chemical composition of maple leaves, kind of didn't bother telling you about within all of this because I think it's just going to be destroyed by the alkalinity of the solution. So yeah, ultimately the amount that I ended up using when I did maple leaves was, like 4 or 5 giant maple leaves. I don't know. It's the same thing that I did with, when I did anything. Like, here's some dandelions. I threw like a handful in. I threw like a handful of maple leaves into my lye solution to produce 12 bars, you know? So some of this stuff doesn't need to be super measured. You know what I mean? And so I didn't notice much of a difference between using a lot versus using a little. But you know me, I like to push soaps to their absolute limit. So using a lot will tell us that we can use up to a certain amount. And anything under that, well, that's on you. So what amount do you want to use? What amount would be needed in order to provide a benefit? Well, people love to say 1%, and I incorporated 1% of the total oil weight of maple syrup into this batch. And so I guess I'm in the mood to say 1% today, you know? But I don't know, it could be anything. That's not a hard and fast rule, is all I'm saying. But anyway, that's a really pretty top, and I'm going to keep messing with it. Look at that. I I don't know when to quit. But did you notice I also took the thing, I took my little whisk back to the batter and kind of, did a little whiskey action here. So let's see if that actually resulted in any swirls in that middle part. Spoiler alert, it did, and it does, and I'm really happy with these soaps. So let's go check out this cut, and you can be happy with it too. And on to the cut of the September bar, and it was C-popped, it was gelled. Now, much like honey or anything sugar, if you want to not do the C-popping and the gelling, just don't do that, you know, because adding extra heat can risk the potential of it overheating and you get, like the volcano thing going on, your soap loaf will split, or it can discolor, or all the things. You know. And that's a personal preference that you have to make in your life as a soap maker, to C-pop or not to C-pop. I like C-pop and everything. Also, I just like seeing how things work. And so that is what I do. So, yeah, the overall process with the maple syrup or the maple leaves and just maple in general, that was kind of all I did. So I think I did seven, maybe seven soaps. I did maple syrup unscented, maple syrup scented, just for funsies. Maple syrup in the lye solution. So that's actually the same bar. Maple syrup in the lye solution. No, maple syrup in the lye solution unscented, maple syrup in the lye solution scented, maple syrup in the oils unscented, maple syrup in the oils scented. So there's four already. And then I did maple leaves, both green and dried. So there's two more. And then I did maple leaves plus maple syrup in the oils, both dry and green. Yeah, how many was that? Was that 8? Was anyone counting? So my point is, it's not 30, and that was the whole freaking point, was to do a full month's worth of stuff for all of that. And so I didn't get there, you know? And I started looking into like how to tap maple trees to see if I could get my own maple syrup and crap. And I learned that a lot of maple trees, and somebody that actually knows something about trees can tell me if this is right or not, you know. But from my explorations, a lot of maple trees don't actually produce maple syrup. And I found that kind of interesting. And so there's a specific type that you can actually tap and get the syrup, the sap, the whatever. And it kind of bums me out. One of my favorite books growing up was the Laura Ingalls Wilder books, the series, and Little House in the Big Woods. They went through this whole thing where they, tapped the maple in like the middle of winter and stuff, and then they like took a pig's bladder or something and made a ball that they kicked around. I love that book so much. And that soap is really gorgeous too. It's very, very pretty. It kind of looks like a Sedona sunset, you know, but also fall. It also can look like fall. And I think that's lovely and gorgeous and very nice. But yeah, the the Laura Ingalls Wilder book kind of just made it sound like these people you know, just tapped a maple tree. I was kind of bummed that I couldn't do it. I mean, I probably could. Listen, you got to bore a thing, and a tree had already just been hit by lightning. I don't think I should be messing with the tree. Anyway, so that all happened, and I did not make my own maple syrup, I guess is the point of all of that, in order to do that. And I couldn't really figure out what else I could possibly incorporate into the soap, like tree bark. I mean, I guess I could have done that, but why? That's weird. That's not good label appeal. Here's a maple tree bark soap. Well, what the hell does that do? You know? I guess I could have like dried it out and ground it up into a thing and made like an exfoliant out of it. I've done that before. I have a wholesale account that does custom edge live wood, and they bring me sawdust to put in their soap as an exfoliant. It's wild. It is absolutely so much fun dealing with some wholesale accounts, for sure. And I think I'm going to talk more about a wholesale account tomorrow because we're doing a vanilla thing, and that account is super wild. We've done coconut fat washing to retain scent. Yeah, it's a thing. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. But for now, look at how freaking pretty that bar is. I really like that particular one that weirdly ended up with a very white pocket. I moved it so you can't see it again. I mean, hopefully I put it back on the screen. I'm not sure that I will, but that is my maple journey. It was a good time, and that's how everything's shaping up right now. And it's not bad. Look at that. All of them together. It's absolutely gorgeous. I really do like I think number 3 and number 9 so far the best. The blue one and then the most recent one that I did. I don't know. You tell me. Which one do you like the best so far? Any of them? Do they all suck? They don't suck. You know what? They don't suck. I make great soaps. They're pretty. I love them. Anyway, we're going to go back to my face so I can talk at you more. Yeah, so for real, it absolutely looks like a Sedona sunset. It's such a pretty bar. I really love it. And I really love the colors of the oranges and the reds and everything coming into that in order to start, transitioning into fall. Definitely reminds me of a maple leaf, but also gives me the oranges that I need in order to transition this one into the October bar. So very excited for that. All the color, transitions are working out well. The scent itself, beautiful scent, the Autumn Lodge from Sierra Candles. I don't know if I did anything with that last year as like a video of like testers. Maybe I did, but this one is really good. And as you can see, the vanillin content within all of that does not really impact this soap. It still stayed, these colors. And so that's good. Tomorrow we are going to be working with scents that definitely discolor. And so we're going to be leaning into that discoloration. And so I'm really looking forward to that. But first, before we do that, remembered Sudsers, first up, thank you for being you. This like last week and a half has been the longest year of my life, you know? And I'm sure a lot of you are feeling that too. And so, yeah, thank you for being here and for being you and for being with me so we can all have maybe a headspace together that blocks out some of the weird, And so there's that. Second up for you, make sure that you go over to the community tab and find the post for today's soap, follow the instructions, and be entered to win one of the 10 gift sets for the 12 months of soap sets that we are giving away for 10 days of thanks. Now, I don't know if I've said this enough. I need to say it again. It's US members only. That's it. That's all we can do. We're not shipping overseas. Super sorry. Shipping rates are crazy right now, and Canada is still messed up. Yeah, the trees are still coming down in like really big ways, and it's distracting me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. You guys are excellent, excellent human beings. I hope you know that. I hope you believe that. I'm out of here, but I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of 10 days of thanks, 12 months of soap, lots of soapy fun. Bye.